A Look at Effective Online Learner-Centered Instruction by Robin McGee. Looking at the evolution of online learning and reasons for change, through most of human history, learning and education has been teacher-centered. So student practices passive learning in a teacher-centered design. There's an emphasis on content retention. More responsibility is on the teacher to be kind of the master of this knowledge, imparting it to students. And it's more of a design with direct and defined approach to the relationship between the teacher and learner. And then there's also the shift that's happening, that's moving towards student-centered learning. Under this scheme, students practice active learning, so they're participating in what they're learning about. There's an emphasis on understanding. There's increased responsibility on the students' part. They are held responsible for the information that they learn. And there's more of a reflective approach to the teaching and learning process, so that there's open communication between students and learners about whether concepts are understood and whether things need to change in the learning process to make information more meaningful or comprehensible. What does student-centered online learning look like? The emphasis is on the learner while the teacher acts as a facilitator. It's a partnership of learning, basically. So students are exploring their interests, students are working at their own pace, students are utilizing multiple online resources, students are collaborating with peers, students' work is displayed in the online class environment, and students are debating and discussing the learning content. In online learning, students are empowered because they are given a voice and a role in their own learning. So just looking at one of the first strategies for online learning, it's interactive learning. The idea that student interaction is pivotal to student growth and overall success in the learning environment. It can promote student engagement, building relationships, and analytical and critical thinking skills. A little bit more about interactive learning, what it might look like in an online platform. There's lots of different activities it could be seen in: role-playing, student competitions, readers' theater, think, pair, share, student design quizzes. This can happen in platforms such as Google Meets. There's a breakout room application that's in Google Meets now so that students can break up into actual online groups and teachers can move between those groups. Also, Zoom is a really great way for students to communicate with one another. In terms of asynchronous work, so they're not actually in live sessions with each other. There's discussion boards online. Google has tons of different applications that can be used for a variety of different ways people can interact with one another, like Google Forms, Google Slides, Google Docs. Our second strategy is collaborative learning. Students work together to build learning communities that sustain overall resilience. Students look to neighbors as resources to test theories and assess progress, and students create habits that will be utilized outside the classroom. This can happen through Google Meets or Zoom, and the main thought process behind this collaborative learning is the one doing the talking is the one doing the learning. So in this idea, students are doing most of the discussion and teachers are mostly taking a step back from direct teaching. In collaborative learning, what this might look like: students establish class norms for effective student dialogue, so they make the rules of when people are allowed to talk and the kind of language people are allowed to use. Students build knowledge together through communication and discourse in group projects. Students control the dialogue, so this creates a great opportunity for inquiry-based learning projects as well. And the way this might be utilized is discussion boards. Padlet is really good for this, and Google Meet breakout rooms. The third learning strategy is authentic learning. The activity provides students opportunities to learn and work on something they believe is important. Second, the activity inspires students to take risks and move beyond personal limitations. Number three, the activity makes a difference in the learner's life. These are all things that can make learning in itself authentic for every single learner in different ways. So asking questions like, why does this matter? What does this mean to you? What might this look like in a learning environment? Assessments are designed to assess learning rather than final results, and activities require higher order thinking skills. So students create and solve problems, students apply learned knowledge. Really great part of this is creating detailed rubrics so that since the focus is on the learning process anyway, students can know within the parameters of what they should be thinking about, how they should be thinking about these problems. Fourth one is autonomous learning. Learners take ownership of the knowledge being investigated and make choices in the learning approach. Learners are provided with opportunities to develop self-regulation procedures to plan and pursue goals. The learner has control over planning, execution, and evaluation. So it's very much an autonomous kind of schema and process. So what conditions allow for online autonomous learning? Personal purpose, previous knowledge, learning by doing, and social interaction are all very important to a student taking a personal interest in the content that's being taught, and self-maintaining their ability to focus on and really critically think about the concepts. And this can be done asynchronously and synchronously. Just looking at our last one, which is high quality learning. Time is a precious commodity in school, so online learning can open up the door to making better use of that time. Some basic parts of that: skillful use of synchronous and asynchronous learning on the teacher's part can really make quality learning environments happen. Online teacher communicates care, competence, and connection with the students. Content is scaffolded in order to push students to build independent learning skills. That's a huge one right there, because being in a position where I am a teacher as well, when I give a lot of the information to my online students all at once, generally those are the assignments that don't get done. Those are the assignments that are kind of all over the place, and they are the biggest challenges for students, because they need little pieces at a time to create a constructivist kind of overall project. And when I throw all of it at them at once, there's the tendency on students' parts to just shut down. Some design considerations when we're thinking about high quality learning: making sure that the questions being asked are age appropriate and in student language, making sure that those questions are critical thinking questions. We're not just asking for basic facts, but we're trying to get kids to think about the content in a new way, apply what the schema they already do to those kind of topics, and delve a little bit deeper. And the parameters for time and the length of these assignments is very important to make sure that kids understand how much time they're going to have to commit towards their work. And yeah, that's a huge part of it, those time parameters. Rubrics are also very important. They establish what successful work looks like and model that so that students can kind of get a good sense of what they should be striving toward. And then just integrating a variety of online tools. Kids love technology, they are used to technology, and keeping things interesting, keeping that variety is so important to them really understanding and internalizing new information that they learn. And here are my references.